Hi, 7th graders. This is how you do the worked out solutions for TMC 32. If you have any errors, the first one that you want to look at, number 1, is the 12 squared plus 13 squared plus 14 squared. So I'm going to show you how I expect it to be worked out. The 12 squared is 144. Subtract 13 squared. Now, a lot of you think that's positive, but what you need to understand is if it's not in parentheses, the square does not apply to the sign. It only applies to the actual base. If it were in parentheses, then it would be positive. So that's properties of exponents. So you have 144 minus 169 plus 196. Now, if I were you, I would combine like terms. So I'd combine the positives. So I have 144, that's positive, 196 is positive. So I'm going to go ahead and add 144 to 196. When I do that, I'm going to get 340. Then I'm going to subtract the 196 from that. And that's how you get 171. The next one, when you have 12x plus 40 is greater than or equal to negative 8. You want to isolate the variable term. So once you do that, you have to use the inverse operation to cancel out the constant on the variable side of the equation. Whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So now you bring down your variable term, your inequality, and you've got same sign here. So that's going to be negative 48. Add them up, keep the sign the same. Divide both sides by 12. To isolate the variable, since this is multiplication, use the inverse operation. The variable is now isolated, so you have x. Since we did not multiply or divide by a negative number, we do not reverse the inequality, so you keep that the same. 12 goes into negative 48, negative 4 times. Now, since I'm giving you the answers, I'm not going to offer bonus, but you should know how to graph that. Graph all the solutions. We're going to do the lazy man's number line. You have negative 4. As long as you just put the numbers on either side, this would be negative 3, this would be negative 5. This is a closed circle because it includes negative 4 as part of its answers. X is everything greater than or equal to negative 4. So your line goes that way. So the next one you to put negative 4y minus 12 equals 8x into slope-intercept form. So you want to isolate the y term. Use the inverse operations to get 12 to the other side of the equation. Cancel out the 12 and you have negative 4y equals 8x plus 12. So you've almost got everything isolated. You have to divide each term by negative 4. Once you divide each term by negative 4, you've got y equals negative 2x minus 3. And once you do that, this is your m. And this is your b, okay? So your m is negative 2 and your b is negative 3. For 1/12 divided by 15/16, keep switch flip. 1/12, switch the sign, flip or take the reciprocal of the divisor. Now you should be able to cross cancel common factors. 4 goes into 12 3 times and into 16 4 times. Multiply across, you've got 4/45. That's how you get that answer. The other, number 5, I'm just going to show you up here that really all you're doing is moving the decimal. Since you have 3 zeros here, you're going to move the decimal 3 times. So you move it over 3 times and you have 250. Move it over 2 times, you have 25, and move it over 1. How do I know how many times to move it? Count the number of zeros. That's the shortcut for multiplying. For finding surface area of a cone, you basically have the surface area equals pi rs plus pi r squared. So your givens were, of course, we're going to use, the radius is 7, so you're going to use 22/7 for pi. That's going to be nice so you can cancel it out. It makes the math a lot easier. So you're going to have 22/7, plug it into the equation there, 22/7 times 7 times 10 plus 22/7 times r squared, which is 7 times 7. I wrote it out that way so you can see that we can cancel out the denominators here with one of the 7s. So I'm left with 22 times 10, which is 220, plus 22 times 7, which is 154. When you add both of those, you get 300 and Let's see here, 224 plus 174, 154 is, oops, I didn't do that, 220. So it should be 4. So she's 374. And don't forget your unit of measure, inches squared. Okay. And your next one is percents. So this is the chapter you were on. 17 out of 20. What's the percent? Set up a proportion out of 100. Since 20 is a factor of 100, just multiply both the numerator and denominator by 5. That's equivalent fractions. And 17 times 5 is 85. Since it was asking for a percent, you want a percent for your answer. The next one, simplify 9/12 that are actually put it in decimal, but I would simplify it. And you see that you get 3/4. When you do that, this is a benchmark fraction you should have memorized. 3/4 is 3/4. 3/4 of a dollar, 75 hundredths. The next one, you have 6 minus 4 and 7/8. Cannot take anything away from nothing. So what you're going to have to do is regroup. So this is going to be 5 and 8/8. Now just subtract. 8/8 minus 7/8 is 1/8, and 5 minus 4 is 1. The last one is you should know that a negative times a negative yields a positive answer. Positive divided by a negative yields a negative answer. I hope you know those basic math facts. That this one is where most kids have the problems here. When you have this negative 15, oops, I'm doing the wrong problems. I just realized this. This is next week's. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm looking at TMC number 32, or 33 instead of 32, so bear with me on number 10. I apologize about that. I was like, these don't look right to my answers. But same sign yields a negative or a positive answer. So you're going to have negative 3, I believe, oh, good Lord. Negative 3 times negative 6 yields a positive answer. It's positive 18. Positive 54 divided by negative 6 is a negative 9. Negative 7 minus a negative 2. Keep. Change, change. You have a negative 7 plus 2. You have difference. So you take the difference between 7 and 2 and you get 5. You have more negatives than positives, so your answer is negative. So your answer should be negative 5. Negative 6 minus 9, just like we did over here, okay, when we have same signs or opposite signs, we want to keep the same idea here that, okay, if this is a negative 6, oh, I think that's up here. No, I guess I did, that was, yeah, right here. Negative 8 minus 40, or it could also be a negative 8 and a negative 40 is negative 48. Same idea here. You can either see that you have negative 6 and negative 9, same sign, add it up, keep the sign the same, or you can keep change. That's up to you. Regardless, you're going to add them up, keep the sign the same. And that's all for today. Have a good day.